What's good, everybody? RJ Sean here, back with another episode of Off the Top Show. This segment is the Beatty Boys. As you see here on the screen, got my good brother James Muenchow, aka Jimmer. For all the people that are now new listening, please like, subscribe, follow. Obviously, a new, I would say, ish on regards of what's going on within Wisconsin sports, but then also within the Midwest. But this is specifically Wisconsin sports. Jimmer, how we doing, man?
Oh, it's been a while since I've been here. I had to figure out I forgot what the setup was. I was like, okay, how did I position everything? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go record. How did I have everything? So, but we figured it out, and the sun is shining. It looks like a beautiful day. Last time we did this shit, I was yelling and pleading for this, and here it is. I can see grass, green grass.
Yes,
I actually,
Lord.
my apartment is right by a field, and the guy is
Yeah.
plowing it right now, which is always a good sign. So, I mean, the vibes right now are pretty high, and we got some things to talk about now.
Yes, no, we definitely do. We took a little 2 month or what,
It was about
2 months and a
2 months, but
half, something
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
we are back now, and we are ready to go ahead and get back in the groove of talking about obviously Wisconsin sports. We'll go ahead and start with the Milwaukee Bucks here. Obviously, we all know they lost that game one against the Indiana Pacers. Have a big one basically today to go ahead and even that up. We got Dame back. Talk to me a little bit about what you saw game one, things that concern you, things that, going into game two that need to go ahead and make you feel that, all right, we kind of got this.
Well, there really wasn't much that made me feel good about myself except for one guy, and that was Giannis. So,
Right,
I mean, he's going to do him, and we all know what he's going to bring to the table. He's basically saying, I'm giving you this.
right,
Y'all need to do what you need to do. And the defense was bad. I mean, hey, Indiana shot good. What can you say? But there was a lot of shots that weren't the tip your cap shots. It was that was a defensive breakdown. A lot of wide open threes, a lot of wide open shots to the hole. The whole defense just looks slow in everything. Rotations, getting back. I mean, we know what Indiana. This is a bad matchup for Milwaukee. Why? Because Indiana likes to do one thing, and they do it really well, and it's run,
right.
run the floor. As soon as they get the ball, they're off and running. And Milwaukee likes to do not that. Like they're old. They got younger, yes, through trades. But then all of a sudden, when you got Brooke Lopez's 36-year-old ass out there, a team that wants to run is going to wear his ass down. And I just don't understand why he's even getting minutes. I know he's a great rim protector, but they just masterclassed you the first round. Yes, they shot really well. Do you expect to do that again? I don't know. Like Indiana
Right.
seems like they are confident when they play Milwaukee. So tonight is the first night in the history of Giannis and Dame being together as a duo that they play in a playoff game. So let's see how that goes. Maybe Dame is the spark that they need instead of just Giannis doing a one-man show. What's going to win this series for Milwaukee is it's going to be youth and the superstars. So Dame and Giannis, obviously, but it's going to be
Right.
youth up and down the floor. Brooke Lopez, bye-bye. Like, you got to sit down. It's got to be like, I know Jericho Sims doesn't bring as much as Brooke Lopez, but he's younger. He's going to last longer. He's going to be able to get up and down the floor. Like, AJ Green played really well last game. That was the one bright spot. Kevin Porter Jr. has to turn up. Bobby Portis still kind of looks like he's getting his legs back under him after a 25-game suspension. The only other thing as well is the series doesn't really start until the away team wins a game. So if the Bucks go down 2, yes, will be a panic mode, absolutely. Like going down 2-0 is never a good thing, but they've gone down 2-0 before and they've come back. Lots of teams have gone down 2-0 and come back. If they win this one tonight, it's a brand new series, and the Pacers essentially just lost their home court advantage because then the Bucks can just win every home game and then they're out. So if you win tonight, it's huge. But a series doesn't start till away team wins. So the home team won game one, fine. You know, it's game one. Energy levels are high. Pacers obviously looked up to the challenge. Thought the Bucks played really well a little bit early, like in the first quarter. Yes, they went down 15-8, but then they kind of scratched a clawed back. And then Indiana just kept going, and then it just became too much for one man of Giannis to do. So we'll see what happens tonight with Dame and Giannis. Dame obviously not playing as much because of his blood clot, which is a huge concern in my perspective. Other than that, there's nothing really to talk about, but Bobby Portis has got to step up. Kevin Porter Jr.'s got to step up. Kyle Kuzma has to literally get on the stat sheet. Besides the minutes, what we'll see. I think we'll get a better perspective after game 2, but I'm going to put this narrative out there, and I don't think I'm wrong. If they get beat and they do another back-to-back first-round exits,
yeah,
Doc, you're gone. See you later. Because why? Because I know you're not a Doc fan. I thought Doc was a good move at the time of when all this came down, because I thought Doc was the good person to get the ship righted, to get it back on track, get it back on course, to handle these veterans, handle these egos that he has done before. Doc's not a very good long-term coach, I think we're finding out. I think he's a very good short-term coach. Like, he gets everybody into place, give them 1 to 2 years, get everything back on track, and then you hand it off to somebody else. There's a lot of high-profile coaches out there right now that don't have jobs. I think if you're Milwaukee, and I think Doc only has a year and a half left, 2 years, because he signed that really weird deal in the middle of the season. I think you just eat that. I know Bud's off the books because he got hired by Phoenix. Well, he took his 1 year and then he went to Phoenix. Adrian Griffin still is on, but I think if you're Milwaukee, like, what do you do to keep Giannis here? You hire a high-profile coach, and I don't think Doc was that. I think he was just a name brand. I don't think he's high profile again, but he's enough to be like, okay, we know who this guy is. We know what he's about. And I don't know his name, and y'all can hammer me for that. But the Denver Nuggets head coach, who just left his job, I think would benefit Milwaukee so well with the current roster they have. Why? Because what did he do?
Michael Malone.
What did Malone do? He was in Denver. Obviously, he had back-to-back MVP in Nikola Jokic. But who is his Robin? His Robin was, and I can't believe I forgot his name on Saturday when we were together and we were talking about it.
You're talking about Murray?
Yeah. Jamal Murray. What does Denver run, like, predominantly? It's high pick and roll with Murray and Nikola Jokic. Run that with Dame and Giannis all game long. And then he had a really good supporting cast. Like, it wasn't even guys like that were jumping off the page type supporting cast. It was just some guys that were really good at a role, and Malone seemed to raise their bar a little bit, get more out of them, which is what a good coach does. I think if you're Milwaukee and you get first round swept again, we're done. Doc, you were never the long-term solution. That's why they only signed him for 3 years. It wasn't like Phoenix giving Mike Budenholzer 5 years.
Right.
It's a 3-year deal. We'll eat the 1 year or however many years are left. It's like at least at max 2, but we'll eat that and we're going to go in a different direction. Because honestly, he loves his vets, and that's just not what's going to win right now for Milwaukee. It's, you got to lean on your youth a little bit, because if Milwaukee never turns the page on youth, then they're never going to go anywhere. So I think Malone is a good fit for that. So if they get beat and it's handedly, like if it's maybe 4-3, maybe Doc wins. If they go to game 7 and they lose in a close one, maybe Doc keeps his job. But if they get beat like 4-1, yeah, Doc's bye-bye. And by the way, you don't have the excuse of, well, I didn't have Dame or Giannis. Well, guess what? You're about to get them for 4 games, or at least 3 more games. If you can't make that work and you can't win games, you have a problem, and we got to do something about it. So let's see what game 2 brings. It's a different perspective once we get 2 games in, and we finally can see the whole puzzle that we've constructed over the past 2 years with Dame and Giannis finally come together in a playoff game.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. I mean, to be honest, I think just to go ahead and, I mean, they're both, when you look at, obviously we're talking about Malone, I mean, him and Doc both have a championship underneath their belt, but if this goes the way it is, I'm 100% with you. Hopefully we don't get that tonight. Hopefully we go ahead and get, this dub, and we just go ahead and make sure that the role players play of what they need to play. Obviously, Dame and Giannis are going to be the vocal point, as they've been basically throughout their whole career being together. I just thank the Heavenly Father that they are both healthy and they continue to be healthy, that they go ahead and continue to just be able to put pressure on offenses. to now create obviously just wide open looks for all the guys like you've mentioned. They just got to knock shots down, play defense, and rebound. And that's the biggest thing right now.
What is the best, like, Dame Lillard we usually see? It's in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Tyrese Halliburton going after him, sitting on the bench in street clothes, and Dame getting up and that response, I'm like, that's the wrong bear to poke, because he might, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but when we see Dame very, very, very motivated and people talking shit, he usually can drop 50, 60 points by himself and just say, you know what, get out the way, give me a favorable matchup, I'll step back all day. And you know what? If they go, okay, we got a double Dame, guess what? Right in there. Park your big fat ass right in the middle of that rim and right in the middle of the paint. I'll get you the ball because they're going to double me. Dame and Giannis are practically going to say, we're going to give you 60 points. Who's going to provide, or like, which one of y'all, or who's going to step up and help us get the other 40? Maybe 50. But they might need actually even like 70, because the way they're playing defense, they might need to score 130 points to win a game. So let's just see what game 2 brings and see if they can nod this thing up 1-1. Again, if they go down 2, it's not a panic. Series doesn't start till away team wins. If they go down 3-1, panic. So we'll see. We'll see what game 2 brings tonight. I'm hopeful and optimistic. But if I'm being totally honest, after how Indiana's playing again, I don't know if Bucks have what it takes. So, but again, let's just give it game 2. I'm not calling it after game 1, but if they go down 2-0, it's not a big panic. If they go down 3-0, then it's over. So we'll see. We'll see. It should be fun. It should be a fun game. Indiana always has a good atmosphere, and Giannis seems to really enjoy playing in front of hostile crowds because he likes shutting them up. But we got to play the game. That's why we play the game.
That's why we play it. Obviously, they're playing tonight. This is a big one. We got to go ahead and get it squared away. But like you said, when we get home, we got to win both those. Either way, doesn't matter what happens this game. We got to get both of them at home. So,
yep.
But I think we'll be good with obviously what we got full strength. So,
yes.
Guys are going to step up.
Absolutely.
Let's move on over to the Packers. Draft is in 2 days, April 24th, April 26th. If you don't know, Jim Bob Cooter here, he loves his picks in regards to NFL draft. When we go ahead and talk about picks, the Packers here, they got the 23rd pick in the first round. Second round, they have the 54th pick. Third round, they got the 87th. Fourth, they got the 124th. Fifth, they got the 159th.
Yeah.
And
you can cut it off right there.
6, you got 198. In round 7, 237. And then they swapped for a good old 1 in 250. If we all know what the Packers are known for, we like to draft. We like to draft guys.
That's not enough picks, bro. I can tell you what Brian Gutekunst is sitting right here going, man, what is that, 7, 8 picks? 9 maybe? He's like, I need at least double. But at
the same time, he does go ahead and picks the right, I would say, or best available at that time. If we look, obviously, from a big lens of what we got going on, Jair Alexander, right, is still with us, so who knows what we're going to do with him. Do we need to go ahead and get an edge rusher? Are we cool with the edge rushers that we have? Are we going to draft an edge rusher? Are we going to draft a corner? There's so many speculations going on. There's so many things that we can add on. If you want my honest opinion, I think we're good with what we did last year. We just came up short, and guys just needed to step up. You know, we talk about the wide receiver position, and this is just me talking. I feel that we're fine with what we have because I feel our MO is really heavily 50%, as we saw. I think it was like a tweet or some statistic that was out there that we were 50% on run we ran the ball over 50% time being run dominant, which I like for this team.
53%.
53, sorry. As we transitioned, obviously, from Rodgers to Jordan Love, if we go back to when Rodgers was really doing his thing and got kind of on the scene, he started under center with play action when we were going ahead and hand the ball off and running. So maybe we're getting back to our old ways. I'm with it. I like what we have, but I'm not afraid to go ahead and put this team in a better position to go ahead and get in those deep in the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl. So talk to me kind of from your lens of what you feel you're thinking is going to happen, or what you are like, okay, I can see this, or it's just like, holy shit, what are we doing? And I like it a lot, or oh my God, what are we doing?
So let's talk about the free agent signings first off. They were active right away, as they were last year. except their activity early on, positions they grabbed weren't the Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs type deal. It was Aaron Banks, probably the best offensive guard on the market, and a really good offensive guard, may I add, coming over from San Francisco, who runs the same exact system. And guess what? They love to run the football. And Aaron Banks is a very, very tough individual. So I like that signing. You had questions on the offensive line, and it was Josh Myers, which they didn't re-sign, and he got only $3 million from I don't even know who. But I could see Josh going in there and being like, hey, I want 7. Like, or I want 10. Green Bay going, you go find it. If you find it, come back and talk to us, we'll talk. But he only got $3.5 million. I don't even know where he went. I don't really care. He was statistically the worst center in the league. So what did you do? You went out and got a guard. And then you're going to bump in Elton Jenkins, who is the most versatile offensive lineman in the league, can play any position on the line and play at a high level, either Pro Bowl or All-Pro level. You're going to bump him into his natural position of center, which he played in college, but people don't know that because he's played left tackle, he's played right tackle, he's played at both guard positions, he played center in the NFL. He's a Swiss Army knife. So you sign the guy at one position, you can move, you could kind of juggle some things around. And then Matt LaFleur comes out and says Jordan Morgan, the guy, first round pick from last year, is going to have an audition at left tackle. And I'm like, no, I don't know if I like that. Why?
Yeah.
Because Rasheed Walker's played through. This will be his 3rd year at the left tackle position, and he's played pretty solid. So I don't know if you want to be messing with the juju, but that's how high they are on Jordan Morgan. And then you got the most locked up spot on the offensive line, even though it is Elton Jenkins, that's center. Any spot you put Elton Jenkins on is probably a really good locked up spot, and that's Zach Tom. And he's fixing to be another David Bakhtiari 2.0. You know, you don't even have to worry about him. He's going to be there. He's going to do his job. And he had high praise from Will Anderson IV on the Houston Texans, who is a really, really good pass rusher. And he's like, man, when I lock up with Zach Tom, it's a day. Like, I better have my boots tight on that one because Zach Tom makes you earn it. So that's high praise from him. So, and then you got Sean Ryan, the right guard spot. But here's the deal, too. You got 6 offensive linemen, really good 6 offensive linemen. And I think what they were trying to avoid was last year in the playoff game, Elton Jenkins went down with a stinger in his shoulder. I think they're trying to avoid that. Because guess what? Two guys we never even heard of came in and played, and they got their ever-loving asses kicked. Now, yes, it was against the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is probably the top 5, we could probably even say top 3 best interior defensive linemen in the league. But they're just going, we don't want that to happen again, so let's get 6. Injuries happen in the National Football League. If you play 15 games, that's a successful season, in my opinion. But for a player in his health. That way, say Rasheed Walker goes down, yes, you could put Jordan Morgan at left tackle. If Zach Tom goes down, you could put Jordan Morgan at right tackle. If Sean Runyon goes down at right guard, Jordan Morgan played some snaps at right guard, you could put him there. If Aaron Banks goes down, Jordan Morgan's going to be, if he doesn't start, Jordan Morgan's going to be, you have to play anywhere guy except for center because Sean Ryan has played center. So you could give me any injury on the offensive line and you can plug and play that and still play at a pretty high level. It's a matter of if we have 2, then it's a problem. But let's just hope and pray that never happens. So then you got Nate Hobbs. And people are like, well, who is this guy? Corner, played for the Vegas Raiders. And you looked at, okay, let the nerds do nerdy stuff. Let's see what happens. You signed him for a deal. And if you read some of the Vegas fan forums or some of the Vegas beat writers, they were like, excuse me, you got rid of him? He only signed for 4 years, $48 million. I think that was his deal.
Yeah,
and then
it was.
The first year of it, he gets most of it paid off, so his cap, and then some of it was incentivized. It was a genius steal of a deal from Green Bay. And that's where you were sitting and thinking, wow, Jair Alexander's probably going to go. He's probably going to be traded because now you have Keyshawn Nixon, Corey Valentine, and Nate Hobbs as your 3 outside corners. Yes, you need more. We'll get to that. But then let's just say things work out. Then you have 4 really solid corners. Then you have Javon Bullard, who likes to play nickel, but then you have Nate Hobbs, who could also play nickel. Then your safeties are Xavier McKinney, still Javon Bullard. And then also, by the way, you got that Williams kid you drafted in the 4th round that you found in a needle in a haystack. I think your secondary as of right now, if the Jair thing doesn't like all of a sudden they're just like, Jair's situation's tough. I don't know if he'll even be on the roster, either through release or trade. We'll get to it. So then we turn our heads to the draft. I've read a lot about it's hard to read about this draft. And I'm like, why am I missing so much? Like, why don't I know as much as last year's draft? If you tuned into our draft picks from last year, we were naming names. This year's draft's really tough, and I'm wondering why. And I'm kind of listening to people on NFL Network, NFL Live, local radio. The money in this draft isn't going to be made for teams from 1 to 20. This is not a superstar packed draft. Like, this isn't last year's draft where 7 quarterbacks are going off in the first 11 picks. This isn't that type of draft. There's a lot of good football players out there. There's probably 1 superstar, and that's Travis Hunter. 2, maybe if you want to call Cam Ward a superstar. But other than that, Sean Genty, there's some people saying Genty wouldn't go in the 2nd round of last year's draft. But now all of a sudden, with the valuation of running back being so high after what Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Jahmyr Gibbs, Aaron Jones, you name it, what they did last year, Saquon Barkley did, you're like, everybody's now like, we need a running back, and we need it bad. So, Sean Jeffrey, good for you, bud. You had a 2,000-yard rushing season. You're a Heisman finalist. If you play running back, top 5 pick, top 5 money, have fun. And then you look at, it's such a weird thing. The money, they say, is going to be made 20 through 50. And where does Green Bay make their money in the draft? It definitely ain't 1 through 20. Hell, it ain't even
we
1
might
through
trade
30.
Bag and give it to somebody.
It's not even 1 through 32. It's like 35 through 125, like 150. That's where they make their money. And that's where I'm sitting here going to tell you my first prediction of what they're going to do in first round. Guess what? It's gone. They probably haven't even, they've been talking to people just probably out of formalities. So, but somebody's going to call them, offer them a first, offer them a 3rd, offer them maybe a 5th, maybe a next year 2nd. I don't know. They're going to offer something, a team that is early in the 2nd round where they go, you know what? All of our guys are off the board because everybody has a board. Green Bay probably has 17 boards. All right. All of our first-round picks are off the board. Let's just go to our second-round picks. Let's just trade it away and get draft capital. Is it a smart idea? Sometimes. They're only going to pick if their guy falls. And they've been talking to some guys, and I think the route they got to go is if they want Jair Alexander gone, they're going to have to draft a corner. But if they're not going to get rid of Jair Alexander, then you can keep him, and then I think you got to draft edge or interior defensive lineman. I wouldn't be mad with either one. Unfortunately, by the evidence of past drafts, and because we are the Green Bay Packers, you can't rule out the offensive lineman pick for the first round. So mentally prepare yourself for, you know what, available as an offensive lineman. Guess who he's going to? And once they hit 23, so. Do not expect them to trade up because they're not going to. They don't need a quarterback. They only trade up apparently when they need quarterback. They're not going to trade up. They're either going to trade back, or I hope they get that A&M kid. Is it something Sherman or what's his name? The edge rusher from Texas A&M, very very athletic. He had one good in his junior year, and then he transferred to A&M. So he's played in 2 of the toughest football leagues in college.
Right.
And also played at Purdue. That is tough mentally as it is because they asked. But played in Texas A&M, played against some of the best of the best in the SEC. It's either him or there's some other talk of Corners.
Yeah, Ed Stewart.
Some people think he's going to be gone by the time 23 comes around. There is some interior defensive linemen they've talked about. But then when we get to like, okay, but where's this wide receiver? There is an Ohio State receiver. I forget his name because it's kind of goofy. That people are like, this kid's going to be really good, or this kid's a solid receiver. But the problem with him, as I've heard, is he's too similar to Jaden Reed. You don't need another Jaden Reed on your team because what Green Bay needs right now is a field stretcher.
Right.
Somebody take a top off defense, make linebackers maybe get sucked into the deep zone when, somebody come underneath. You need that guy. Is there anybody in that guy in this wide receiver room? I haven't heard any. Obviously, all of them are going to run fast, but it's tough this draft for a lot of people who have read it is tough to analyze because, again, there's two superstars in this draft, and everybody else is either overhyped or just is going to get first-round money because by process of elimination, they just chose the right draft, I guess. So
and you know why that is, man. Look at what they're getting in college, man.
Exactly.
They don't give a shit. They're already making as much money as they will going in, even being a guy that just puts on the uniform and just sits there at practice squad. They don't need it. That's why that's why it's hard to evaluate because guys are taking plays off. You do that 10 years ago, you wouldn't even get drafted, let alone get on a free agency.
You don't have guys sprinting to get out of college after sophomore year anymore because now they're like, why would I leave? I'm making $4 or $5 million right now. I'm going to milk this for all it's worth. And if it doesn't work out in the league, I got to make the most here because guess what? It's working out here. So you're exactly right. You hit it right on the head. So I think we should start expecting more drafts like this in the future. So
absolutely,
it's not going to be like last year where, oh my God, there's 7 quarterbacks again going in the first round, or oh my God, look at the 10 wide receivers going. No, it's not. And then I kind of think if there's not going to be a lot of high profile drafts like this, you might start seeing some veterans get traded on draft day too. So if you're looking for what Jair Alexander is, if a team's looking for a corner and has some money and is like, no corner really fancy, we don't like any corner. Hey, I know a team that's looking to get rid of a corner. We know he's a first-round pick because look at his production. He's played in the league. We know he plays in the league. It's not a gamble anymore. It's, okay, this is a for sure thing, but guess what? You got to give up your first-round pick. Teams give up first-round picks for sure things. That's Absolutely. Not a gamble. So that's where you might see Green Bay flourish is because they got Jair in their back pocket saying, like, before this team makes their pick, let's give them a call. If they're looking corner and they have money, we'll give you a corner in their prime. He's kind of hurt, but still, we'll give you a corner. We eat some of his salary because of his dead cap money, X's and O's, all this stuff that we don't know because we're not in the room and we're not financial experts. Okay, yeah, I think giving up the 18th pick for Jair Alexander sounds easy. That's done. We'll figure out the books later. Like, if it works for our books right now, we'll figure it out later. We'll do something. We can restructure and, all that stuff. So look for that to happen. I think you'll see a lot more veterans traded because these high-profile drafts are no longer happening because of NIL. So
right.
It's going to be interesting. And, yes, your boy's going to be boots on the ground in Lambeau. We're going to check it out. I'm going to check it out. I see a little forecast in the rain at about 9 p.m., I think my game plan here is to watch the first 10, 15 picks and then be like, you know what? I've seen enough. I'm going to go home where the beer is a little bit more cheaper and there's a couch and I can hear some in-draft analysis and text the boys. Yeah, I think that'll be good. So I'm not going to sit there. You got me fucked up. If you think I'm going to stand there for 4 hours and 2 of them in the rain to watch some guys get picked, I'm going to go watch the first 10, 15 rounds probably, and then I'm out. I'm going to be like, all right, let's go watch the rest of this on the couch. And then the guy, my stepdad who I'm going with, he's probably be like, yeah, that sounds really nice. Let's go do that. So that's my game plan for the draft. because we know how slow this thing is. It's going to take 4 hours for 32 picks.
Yes, it
So,
will.
and most people nowadays, they're not even in-house anymore.
Right.
Like, they're going to be at home with their loved ones and family and friends, which is, again, it's a great day to share that with family and friends and just be at home. But it's not like how it used to be where 30, 40 players showed up to the Radio City Music Hall in New York to walk the stage and shake hands with the commissioner. So, again, I'll watch 10, 15 picks, and I'm out. So, but we'll get boots on the ground coverage there, even though I'm not going to have a microphone and I'm not going to be talking to anybody. I'll just see the scenes for y'all. So, but yeah, this draft is going to be interesting for Green Bay because they need it. They need it bad. They want to take another step. They're kind of hurting a little bit right now in the sense of they need something to jumpstart their pass rush. They need something for their wide receiver room because they're hurt. And then you just need to perform. That's really all it comes down to. And then we're not going to talk about really anything until training camp. And we'll get into training camp there, but then it just comes down to performance. Who grew? Who got better? Who, you know what? We can't answer any of those questions until week 1. Because we hear it all the time. Oh, this guy got bigger and faster. Oh, this guy is. It's like, well, no shit. They spend all off. The only thing we really kind of hear about is, oh, this guy got fat. Like, this guy came in way overweight, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I don't want to hear about Rashawn Gary manhandling people in camp. Why? It's camp. Who cares? It's camp. Let me see it in week 1. Even in the preseason, you know, it's not the same game. We're not going to see who got better and who is going to progress until week 1. Again, you could talk about how I remember hearing about Eric Stokes locking up people in camp. Well, guess what? It was fucking camp, and it lasted for about 5 weeks. And then he met Justin Jefferson, and Justin Jefferson, like in Georgia when they played against each other in college, broke him. And then he was hurt for 3 years, and now he's finally off the team. Thank the Lord. So, again, it's going to be fun because why? It's football. Football is king. It's a look into the hope of how shit teams like the Bears and the Jacksonville Jaguars, the New York Giants, the New York Jets get a little glimmer of hope and like, okay, this is the rebuild to our team. And this is like the start of possibly where we can get better in 2 to 3 years. So I love draft night too because it's just, again, it's another excuse for me to be a couch potato. I'm not going to be a couch potato today, or on that day, I'm going to have to put my walking shoes on. But it's going to be something we've never seen before here in Green Bay, and we may never see it again. So it's going to be exciting. People are going to tune in and watch, and it's just another day closer to football season.
Oh, absolutely. It's always good when Wisconsin can go ahead and host big events. You know, and hey, listen, OTAs, guys reported, football's around the corner. The next thing you know, we'll wake up and it'll be the season. So let's move on. Obviously, we're talking Milwaukee Brewers. Talk about them briefly. We are so early into the season here, but record 12-11. They go ahead and get in the series against the Giants. They are second in the NLC. As of what I've been reading, man, moving on from that, because there's, again, very early in the season, but we will definitely keep up. We got a big season, though. We expect them to do big things. RIP Bob Cooter. But it still hurts. Anyways,
absolutely.
Anyways, we're just gonna keep going on that. But obviously, rest his beautiful soul.
Oh yeah.
He's always going to be in our hearts when it comes to that type of stuff, especially with
heroes are remembered. Legends never die, and Euchre is a legend, and he will never die. So
absolutely.
What can we talk about with the Milwaukee Brewers? Again, Christian Yelich is healthy, looking to be performing at a pretty good level. A lot of slow starts from people. William Contreras was one, but he seemed to have bounced back. Rhys Hoskins was another, and he really bounced back.
Man, my God. He's got like 10 home runs, doesn't he, total within how many games?
Nah.
Or 6?
He's got like 5 or 6. So he really bounced back pretty quick. He was hitting like $180. He's hitting 270 now. So he's raised his average a good 100 points. Jackson Churio had a rough start in New York, and then he turned it around pretty goddamn quickly. Sal Frelick.
Yeah, he did.
Sal Frelick and Bryce Terang are hitting machines. The problem with this team is they have one hole, and that's third base. They started off with, like in complete Brewer fashion. They started off with this guy named Oliver Dunn, which you're like, who the hell is this guy? Well, he hit really, really well in spring training. Guess what? Everybody hits really, really well in spring training. Pitchers aren't throwing to get you out. They're throwing to work on their stuff against live hitters so they could see how it worked. Like, that's what he was hitting off of. He wasn't hitting off guys that were like, okay, I'm going to start him off with this so I can set up this. And then when I really get into it, I can set up this. No, it's, okay, I need to work on my changeup today. So I'm going to get me over changeups to get ahead. And then I can, if I'm 2 strikes, then I'm really going to crank it up for the changeup so I can have an out pitch. And then guess what? Guess what happens? They leave 83-mile-per-hour changeups over the fucking plate, and it looks like batting practice, and the guys hit it 400 feet. Or I'm going to work on first pitch strikes. Guess what? Pretty fucking evident he's throwing first pitch strikes, and then the second time around, he starts hitting bombs. And so guess what happens? He's hitting 160, and then he's making errors. So then they tried another plug-and-play guy. Doesn't work. Making errors. And so you're getting frustrated. And so then they had to call up a guy, the guy they got in the Devin Williams trade, which, by the way, Milwaukee's winning that trade. Devin Williams
100%.
is struggling. So, yes, Nestor Cortez just got put on the 60-day injured list, so that hurts. Yes, he'll be out till June, it sounds like. But then you bring up this Clayton Durbin guy, and you heard about him in spring training as well. And again, it's like, okay, well, let's see what the young kid has. He's like 21. Let's see what the kid has. You know, it couldn't get any worse than this. This dude comes out, gets his first hit in his first game, gets his first stolen base in his first series, and then gets his home run in his third game in the major leagues. Now, is that going to sustain? No. He's like another Sal Frelick guy. He's going to put together good at-bats. He might hit 10 to 15 home runs a season. And if he gets on, he's going to run. So it's another Milwaukee Brewer baseball player that's get on base. We're going to wreak havoc on the bases. We're going to steal. They broke the freaking franchise record on Sunday. They stole 9 breaks. 6 of them, I think, were in the first inning. So this team runs. And they are going back to the Moneyball approach of who can get on base, and then we run. Now, the Moneyball approach was you don't run, you just get on base. But this team, with the pitch clock, and they figured some stuff out, they have speed, and they use it, and it's a very deadly weapon. So now you just need some guys to start hitting. You don't win in April. We are 3 weeks in. But you could hurt your chances of it if you don't start off well. And they didn't start off well. They got swept by the Yankees. But as you said, they're 1 game over 500. Just give it time. It's not warm yet. They're in San Francisco today, but, you know, I don't even know what San Francisco's weather like. They haven't played in some friendly-ish climates. But once it gets warm, once it gets hotter, arms start to get looser, bats start to heat up. It's a whole long grind of a season. So hopefully they can get some more arms. Brandon Woodruff is making a rehab start. There's a couple other youngsters who are working their way back from the plethora of injuries that the Brewers had to their starting rotation last year. There are some question marks to the bullpen, which we haven't had in a long time because we had Josh Hader, Devin Williams, Corey Knebel for years. And so they're still tinkering with that. It's a long season. People will find their roles. People will find their grooves. And if they don't, then trade deadline. You know, Green Bay has a good farm system. You never know what's going to happen. So 23 games in, it's still early, but you see some positive signs, and then you see some points of weakness where they're probably scouting teams and they could buffer it if they're having a good season. So let's give it some time. Let's enjoy the game that is hopefully continuing to bring us summer, and that means summer is closer and closer by the day, and just enjoy some summer of Brewers baseball where hopefully they win another NL Central title. But if not, I would like to think this team is still good enough to win a wild card.
No, absolutely. Long season, folks, so hang in there, but we'll definitely cover that. And then real briefly here, Badger basketball. Badger basketball did play well, though. They did good.
Hey, they
quick on that.
They
quick on that.
Played really well. I liked what I was seeing I mean, again, John Tonje was the backbone of that team. Jonathan Blackwell, a rising star who is going to try to cash into the NBA. We'll keep tabs on that. But if he doesn't, he plans on coming back to Wisconsin. Unfortunately, they ran into a buzzsaw of BYU. BYU was the number one offensive efficient team in the country. And yet, when it all seemed almost over and done with, Wisconsin had a chance to tie it up and win it. So Wisconsin didn't play their best game, and yet they still almost found a way to win a game. So they need to find a big. I think that was their big weakness, is that whatever why is his name? His name is blanking me. His number is 22, and I don't know how I'm forgetting it, but he was a pretty vocal point. But that was their weakness. You saw them lose games because of that, because just bigger. If he was bigger, he was getting.
Talk about Steven
Crowell. There you go. As soon as you said Steve, I knew who you were talking about. Steven Crowell got beat by big guys. He got beat by little guys. He was like inside outside player. He could play inside. He could play outside. But defensively, he was not that good, and that was usually where teams attacked. You saw, oh my God, Greg Gard. Wow, it's a day of the brain farts here of obvious answers. You saw Greg Gard switch up his offense. He went to a European-style offense instead of the Bo Ryan offense. And I thought that was and obviously, it proved to do really well. You let your big guys, John Tonje, run some ISOs. You let Jonathan Blackwell take advantage of mismatches. They're playing more of a modern game basketball instead of what Bo Ryan played. And not that Bo Ryan's system was bad, but it was kind of like the Bill Belichick and the Bill Belichick of things. The only person who can run a team like Bill Belichick is Bill Belichick. You saw his offensive, defensive, special teams coordinators go elsewhere and try to run teams like him. And guess what? It didn't work. Why? You're not Bill Belichick. You saw Greg Gard try to run Bo Ryan's offense and do the things that Bo Ryan did. Well, guess what? You couldn't do it. Why? You're not Bo Ryan. And that's okay. So what did he do? He switched it up. They started getting in the portal. They started handing out some NIL monies. And they found some really good players. And it worked. So now they're still in the portal. They got a freshman of the year from some conference out west. 6'10" guy who averaged 14 points a game. Apparently he's a guard, 6'10". I'm like, excuse me? He's what now? But probably going to play forward. They're heavily involved in the portal, and it's just how it is in the NCAA tournament that they run into a really good team like BYU. So, yes, people were like, well, this is how many years in a row that Greg Gard hasn't gotten out of the second weekend. This year, he was in the best, probably, overall bracket. All the brackets from top to bottom. I think he had Alabama in there. I think he had Duke, and then he had BYU, the number one offensive rated team in the efficient team in the country. I forget who the 4 seed was, but it was a stacked team, and I was like, oh my God, they got the group of death here again. But if you looked at a Badger team that played against a team like BYU did, you wouldn't have expected them to score 89 points. That's how much it's changed. They play the modern game. They wouldn't have given up 91, but they also wouldn't have scored 83 either. So, again, there's really good changes coming. I think they've kind of modernized their recruiting. They've modernized their offense. They've just modernized their whole game of basketball from what Bo Ryan was doing. And it worked out pretty well. They went to a final in the Big Ten tournament. And unfortunately, they lost to what looked to be a game that was coached by Bo Ryan back in the day, of a 49-45 game. But, again, can't deny the results. And yes, again, you can't just judge him by what he does in the big dance. He's competing in the Big Ten. The Big Ten's hard. It's not just, okay, we got to worry about Illinois, which not that Illinois was good this year, but usually you got to worry about Illinois, Ohio State, Michigan State, and then obviously Purdue. But then Maryland is really good. Purdue was really solid again. Illinois had a down year. Michigan State had a really, really good year. By the way, thank you. I was in a basketball pool. Michigan State was the only team that ended with my score to win money, so I appreciate you for that.
Always got to hold it down.
Michigan was scrappy, and then you brought in Oregon, USC, UCLA, who are also really good basketball schools. And then Washington was bad, and then you kind of threw in a mix and match. Now, with the Big Ten, how it is, it's hard. It's going to be really hard to win in the Big Ten. So if you get top 4, top 5 in the Big Ten, you're doing something right. So we'll see what happens. They're graduating a couple kids, or kids are going to the draft. We'll see how they replace them in this upcoming year.
No, absolutely. I got some news that I got to keep hold within before I go ahead and publicly release it.
Ooh,
but
yeah.
it's very good. I'll say this. A old man that did a lot for this university when it comes basketball wise, it's going to be the general manager, and I'll just keep it as that for the basketball team. It's going in a very good direction. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
It's going in a very good direction to where they're going to compete in the Big Ten at a high level, and that's all you want, especially with where you're from and things like that. So
yes, absolutely.
Now moving on to football, obviously the spring game. Even though I slipped up on basketball, but it's good to talk about them. Granted. We're speaking football. It's on the way.
It's coming quicker.
It's going to be turning around real quickly. From what I've kind of grasped of what I've seen, obviously last year we all know that the downs of fickle of like, is this going to work out? What's going on?
Yep.
The record and all that good stuff. Obviously last year was last year. It is what it is. We so happen to go ahead next year to go ahead and start to where we can go ahead and make a clean slate, and this is a very big season for them. As what I've saw, though, the defense looks very good per usual. I don't think there's never been a bad defense at Wisconsin. It's been mainly, obviously, the offense. Quarterback position, what are we going to get from that? Are we going to get playmakers? Obviously, they got a guy out of Ohio State. I forget his name, as we are horrible with names on here, but
we know nobody.
Is that someone that's going to go ahead and make plays? We will only know when they face Iowa the first game. So we shall see. What is kind of your perspective and just what you want to see game one? Like, it ain't even about what you hear. Is like, what do you want to see as soon as those cleats touch wherever they're at? Which this is at home, so it'd be. When they touch Cameron Stadium for the first time and they go ahead and it's the first drive, I probably already know what you're going to say. But what do you think will happen, or not even happen? What do you want to see right away?
Let's see how the offense is. They just brought in that new offensive coordinator who was a coordinator of the year in the Big 12. He's been places and coached a lot of big teams. Is he going to run the football? Yes. It's a spread offense. You can call it that, but it's not your traditional spread Urban Meyer, Florida Gator offense. It's run dependent. He's very run heavy, which is Wisconsin's bread and butter, which I thought they needed to get back to. Luke Fickell said they're never going to go under center and run, which is fine, but he's going to modernize it with how college football is. You run out of the gun in college football, mostly. So we'll see how that is. And yes, even though they had a bad year, they've had a couple really top transfers come in. People were snubbing. They had one defensive end who was a 5-star defensive end that was committed to Michigan, and then he decommitted and went back to Wisconsin. Now, yes, NIL helps that. They had another quarterback, I think, commit to Wisconsin again, 4-star quarterback. See where it's at. The quarterback positions, it might be a freshman. We don't know. Like, we have no idea. So I just want to see improvement. This is the year where if they don't make a bowl game, and I'm talking like they have to qualify for a bowl game, not this, hey, they played in a bowl game because Texas A&M, or I'm just throwing out, because Ole Miss didn't want to play, or some slack Mountain West team didn't want to play. I don't want to see that. I want to see Wisconsin won at least 6 games and qualified for a bowl game. I want to see above 500 season. I want to see a quarterback that looks like he has played quarterback before and that he's ready for Division I instead of how Tyler Lockett was. Unfortunately, I think that year would have went better if Tyler Van Buren? No.
I think it's is it Van Dyke?
Tyler Van Dyke, you're very correct. Good pull.
Tyler Van Dyke, I think so.
Van Dyke. If Tyler Van Dyke, I think that year is totally different. I think they win at least their 6 games to win a bowl game or to make it into a bowl game. So we have to see. How college sports work. You have this spring game, which is basically like a family day for them, kind of like really good scrimmage. Finally can hit people that are the same, but now when it gets into July and June, that's when the money's made, obviously. That's when your answers will come out. Who's this, who's that, and then obviously we got week 1. You don't even have like South Dakota to play against this year. You're going right into Big Ten play, and you got the Hawkeyes, who are scrappy as hell and dog walked you last year, coming in right away. You don't got any time to win 28-14 against UMass, 28-14 against South Dakota. You ain't got none of that time. You have to laces better be locked and your chin straps better be tight, because this Big Ten football coming at you week 1 right away.
No, it should be interesting, but hey, we shall see. We can
Yes,
only
sir.
see, as the days move on. But moving on, obviously we had kind of got a segment where it's JBCT.
This is
Jim
where
Bob Cooter Talks. This is where we go ahead and talk outside
this is where the
of
people
what we talk about Wisconsin.
I would like to think this is where the people are like, finally, why don't they do this first? But
They're like, we don't want to hear this goddamn guy talking about Wisconsin for 56 minutes.
This might be the time where people will be like, all right, that's enough. I heard enough of this guy. But yeah, Jim Bob Cooter brings up where people might be like, why in the hell is this guy talking about this? We're going to talk golf. Yes, people, we are going to talk golf. Golf just had a historic moment, and y'all watched it. I know y'all did. Rory McIlroy finally, after 10 long, probably even more, but we're just going to say 10 plus long years of chasing a Grand Slam title or a Grand Slam career, finally hit on the Masters in the most exciting and Rory McIlroy way. Why is that? He's 4 under, and we're, our friends, Jake Hoyer, who name dropped him, Tony Schmidt, big Rory fans. All the Rory fans are like, finally, it's Rory's year. 4 under through 15, day 1. You don't win a tournament on day 1. Oh, what happened? Double bogey. He's back down to even. And everybody's like, here we go again. Rory just shooting himself in the foot. And then day 2 comes. He shoots 6 under. And the Rory fans are back at it again, but obviously you go, if he had just played par out, he'd be 10 under and running away with this field. And then day 3 comes, he shoots another really good round. And you're like, He is the person who's playing the best golf through 3 rounds. Even though he had from 2 bad holes has been like, this has prevented a runaway tournament. And then Sunday comes, he's running away with it. And you're like, finally, like just 14 under. I think he had like a 4-shot lead at one point, and you're like, he literally has to shoot par the rest of the round. He can maybe have a bogey. He cannot just do dumb shit. And what does he do? He does dumb shit. Just like Rory McIlroy always seems to find himself in trouble, always seems to find him. He always seems to find trouble. But then what does he do? So 18 hole, he needs a birdie. Plays 18 hole perfectly, and then he's in position for his birdie. He misses the very gettable 6 to 7 foot putt, and you're going,
pushed it.
You're going here of the collapse, and they're going, this is typical. We've seen this before. People are saying, like me included, are saying if he doesn't win this one, this is the closest he's ever been. If he doesn't win this one, I don't think he's ever going to mentally recover from the Masters. He's never going to win it. And then he did something where I'm like he forgot all about the last 72 holes, and he's going to lock in on this hole. We don't see a lot of people do this. Obviously, his family was right there in case he did win it, so we have that whole family embrace. He stopped after he left the green and the cameras following. He stopped. He gave his wife a kiss and a hug, and he gave his daughter a kiss and a hug. From that moment, I knew he's totally forgot about that, what just transpired.
Right.
And because I've seen people do it. I saw one person do it in a different sport. It was bowling, yes. Go, y'all can sue me. Guy just, in the middle of the game, did it. Flushed his bad shots, and he ended up going on and win a tournament. Rory did that. I'm like, that's different. You don't see people do that. And I'm like, he's flushed it. I think, in my mind, I'm like, he's flushed it. And what does he do the first shot? He stripes it down the middle of the fairway, and then he puts his second shot to 4 feet. And then drains the putt, mind you, too. And then those scenes were the second best master scene I have ever seen in my life. No one, and I will argue till I'm blue in the face, no one will beat Tiger in 2019.
Yeah, no,
No.
that was a unreal moment on what Rory did.
Yes.
And the way he did it, but
yes,
it doesn't compare.
You saw
this is Tiger and this is just Rory right here.
It's
close though. Don't get me wrong.
Close,
my heart was racing.
But
heart was racing the whole what 3 hours.
Wasn't a Rory. I'm not that big of a Rory fan like some people are. You can sue me. I'm just not. I don't like some things he does. It kind of irks me. He's kind of like the old school type golfer with his views on things, like how he doesn't like YouTube golf because blah blah blah. But that's his perspective. Where you and I and the boys sitting around and watch Bob Does Sports throw up on fucking golf courses from drinking 27 beers in 9 holes. Like we love that. Eat 15 tacos in 9 holes a piece. We love that shit. It's entertainment.
Shout out to the lads.
Oh man. So, but you just saw this emotion and this hypothetical monkey that has been on his back for 10 years just come off his back, and he just let it all pour out. And now we have to get into a conversation. They screwed a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Very little. Some people were saying Rory's winning all 4 majors this year. He's not going to. I'm putting a stamp of guarantee. I'll eat this hat if he wins all 4. Mainly not because I don't believe he could. He obviously could. It's really hard to win a golf tournament. Rory chased the Masters for how long? You don't think if he golfed well, somebody could just golf out of their ass and beat him? Of course they could. But he's Mr. Consistent. He's always going to be at the top of the leaderboard. He's always going to be threatening. So then we move on from Rory McIlroy, and Justin Thomas wins a tournament last week, and that was another really good thing to see. Why? For 2 reasons. One, 2 years ago, you and I and our friend Tony went to the 3M in Minneapolis. Justin Thomas missed the cut. And a guy who is JT's potential player should not be missing the 3M cut. He really shouldn't. I mean, I'm not saying he waltzes in there and wins it, but like a guy like that shouldn't be missing cuts in those types of tournaments. And then he was missing major cuts. And then he was a captain's pick for the Ryder Cup team 2 years ago, which a lot of people disagreed with, but then he kind of he showed out there, and he was the best American in Italy. But now we're in a Ryder Cup year again. And for those of you who kind of pay attention to golf, USA versus Europe, it's one of the most insane golf atmospheres you'll ever see. And it's very, very, very competitive. It's one of the more competitive things I've seen as well. And Justin Thomas winning really helps, is because then you don't need to waste a captain's pick for the Ryder Cup. And yes, people are like, what do you mean by this? So it's USA versus Europe. People make it automatically through FedEx Cup point standings, which we don't need to talk about. And the reason I cheer for household names for Americans is because the more household names you get automatically, the less you have to use on captain's picks. And if your household names aren't winning or playing very well, that's not a very good sign either. So Justin Thomas being a household name that he is, and a very good Ryder Cup player to get into the top 6 now. I mean, and we still have up until the last major and the last tournament of the year before they start cutting off these points, is a really good thing. Because then you can kind of don't even have to worry about JT. You can just pick somebody else. So the USA might be in trouble this year for the Ryder Cup. It's a long season. You usually like to pick people who are in good form going in. Usually. We did that last time, and it didn't work out so well, a.k.a. Ricky Fowle.
The fact that he was on the team last year, I'm like, bro, what the hell? Like, for 2 years, whatever it was, it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, I understand he won a tournament like 3 weeks prior.
This is the Wells Fargo.
That was his first win. Like, come on now. He didn't just win the U.S. Open or the Open.
No disrespect to Rory. I mean, to Ricky. Ricky did a lot for the PGA, but we gonna bring him in after he won a Wells Fargo, bro.
And you left Bryson DeChambeau sit at home. So we'll keep talking about this. I probably lost a lot of people who were like, "What in the fuck are these people talking about?"
You probably did.
But if they tune in, you're gonna be like, "What? This is golf? You have people cheering for misses and booing for makes. It's in America. It's at Bethpage Black in New York. It's a really, really nice historic golf course. It gets rowdy. It's loud. People get kicked out. People like give the Hulk Hogan ear, like I can't hear you. It is a spectacle like anything in sports that we usually don't get. And it is something for the casual golfer to go and watch. And I for sure will be watching it. We'll touch on that once it gets closer, but lots of good things happen in golf where even, yes, my sister who doesn't watch golf watched the Masters and said, oh my God, I can't believe he missed that putt. Yeah, that's how huge Rory McIlroy winning the Masters was. It was the non-fans knew what the hell was going on and can see that Masters tournament, which we had boots on the ground out there a little bit too. One of the best and forever will be the best tournament to play in. But speaking of golf, man, we might have to correspond on our team this year for our men's league here to see how Jimmy and RJ do as a partnership this year. First time, not for the last time either. So we shall see when March 8th is our first go at it. And it's going to be
all I got to say is you guys buckle up. But with that, man, we can sit here and talk about sports all day. We got the goddamn Bucks coming on here shortly.
5 minutes.
You guys have a good one. Hey, we're back in action. You're going to hear us weekly without the months, all that good stuff. Jimmer, it's a pleasure, brother. Everyone, have a great week. Have a great weekend. Follow us all on social media pages. You will see it in bio. You'll see it on my Instagram. You see it everywhere. Peace out, y'all. Drink some water.